The summer heat has almost gone now, and I can feel that autumn has come. How was your summer, and what this summer reminds you of? Most of all, summer is the season of growing. It seems that all nature grows vigorously in the summer. But I found an unexpected fact. Actually, many plants can grow well because we have cold winters. In winter, energy is stored in the roots of a plant. When the warm spring comes, the energy which was stored in roots becomes active, and it helps a plant to grow. It also appears that all animals, including human beings, grow during the day. But actually, they also grow during the night. The growth hormone is produced during sleeping at night. Then, how about our spiritual growth? When can we grow spiritually and mentally? Can spiritual growth happen automatically as time passes? Master Sotaesan, the founder of Won-Buddhism, said, as students in a school have tests at the end of each term, those undergoing moral training, when they are to be elevated in their practice or attain Buddhahood, must pass various tests which are presented to them through favorable or adverse trial situation. As Master Sotaesan said, the mind is originally free from disturbances, delusions, and wrongdoings. But disturbances, delusions, and wrongdoings arise in response to sense objects. So the situations that make our minds respond to these sense objects can be seen as tests of our moral and spiritual growth. Do you like tests? Whether you like tests or not, our lives are a succession of various kinds of tests as we face favorable or adverse situations. We call these situations conditions. Master Jeongsan, the second head Dharma master of Won Buddhism, said, there are three kinds of tests, three kinds of conditions: adverse conditions, favorable conditions, and empty or neutral conditions. When we meet adverse conditions, our minds become upset or offended. When we meet favorable conditions, we easily fall into mental temptation and arrogance. When we meet empty or neutral conditions, our minds become lazy. If we pass successfully all of these tests, as they come to us day by day across the years, we will grow spiritually and have a more meaningful life. Now I have a question for you. Between favorable conditions and adverse conditions, which one do you think is the more difficult test? If you think that favorable conditions are more difficult test, please raise your hands. 3. Thank you. And if you think that adverse conditions are more difficult to test, please raise your hands. Yeah, okay. There is no right answer. Maybe it depends on the person and situations. But generally speaking, favorable conditions present more difficult tests for practitioners. Why is this so? Master Taesan, the third head Dharma master of Won Buddhism, said, in adverse conditions, practitioners can make a lot of progress in the practice of the way. On the other hand, in favorable conditions, practitioners easily regress in the practice of the way. This is because wrongdoings and arrogance easily arise in favorable conditions. Therefore, sincere practitioners do not want to be born rich and noble. In India, more than 2,000 years ago, the Buddha, Gautama Shakyamuni, was born as a prince. He was supposed to succeed to the crown. He could have everything he wanted. He could do anything he wanted. Everyone was kind and helpful to him. But Gautama Shakyamuni was not satisfied with his favorable situation. He left the palace without hesitation to seek after truth, to find eternal happiness. After a while, he came to a realization of dukkha. Dukkha means the inherent suffering and the inevitabilities of life itself, such as old age, death, and sickness. Master Taesan even compared adverse conditions to snow-covered mountains, and he compared favorable conditions to volcanoes. When a mountaineer dies while climbing a snow-covered mountain, at least people can find his body later. However, when a mountaineer dies while trying to climb a volcano, no one can find his body because everything burns away in a volcano. Like this, favorable conditions are more difficult to test than adverse conditions. If we are defeated by the test, our progress, our practice will regress. Most winners of the public lottery, Lotto, are good examples. Many winners of the first prize in the lottery become very miserable. They were harmed by favor. And one man who won the lottery even said, "The biggest tragedy in my life was winning the lottery." On the other hand, adverse conditions are great chances to grow and progress. In fact, when difficulties arise, our practice can deepen and we may gain wisdom and strength. A year ago, I felt that my situation was very difficult, and I felt that I suffered from adverse conditions. But at that time, a senior minister of Won Buddhism, who had lots of compassion and wisdom, and understood well my struggles, gave me advice. Why don't you find out what you are thankful for in these difficult times? She said, think about what you have learned and gained from these adverse conditions. Please write a thankfulness list and send it to me. So I followed her advice. I tried to find what I felt gratitude for in the difficult situations and wrote the gratitude list. Making the list, I was so surprised that I found so many things for which I was grateful, things that I have learned and gained through that hardship. Then I realized that adverse conditions were golden opportunities for me to grow. As you know, there is a saying, no pain, no gain. It is really true. We do not have to feel resentful about adverse conditions. We can change those harms into grace. It is our own choice. If we know clearly that the difficulties we face can guide and train us, we cannot help but be thankful for hardships and adverse conditions. I heard there is a big tree in Hawaii. The tree is not only big, but also very beautiful. Many people can take a rest under the tree's shade. But if you cut down the tree to use it as wood, it is useless. Because the big tree has always been growing in a mild climate, it is not solid enough to make furniture or a house, or even to be used as firewood. Trees which grow in fiercely cold weather are often more valuable as wood. Master Jeongsan said, as frost and snow reveal the merit of the pine tree, it is both favorable and adverse conditions that reveal the merit of the practitioner. The reason why we do meditation and why we practice and why we study Dharma is to apply the power of our minds in both favorable and adverse conditions. For our spiritual growth, we have to pass both of these tests. All Buddhas and saints made great advances when they met with extreme difficulties. Jesus Christ had passed the test and made great progress when he was crucified on the cross. Master Jeongsan also gained great Dharma power when he was very sick for 9 years. If you want to accomplish a great task, be careful to pass these examinations successfully. Master Taesan said, when adverse conditions come to you, it is time to give grace. So, welcome these adverse conditions. When favorable conditions come to you, it is time to receive grace. So, welcome it with mindfulness. If you think in this way, you can be free from attachment to both adverse conditions and favorable conditions. If you feel that you are attached to adverse conditions or favorable conditions, please remember Master Taesan's word. There are two kinds of great tests. First, you are given small misfortune or adverse conditions to receive great blessings in the future. Second, you are given small blessings and favorable conditions to receive great difficulties in the future. Unlike the tests or exams in this world, the test for spiritual growth is given without any notice. That is why we need to be alert and mindful. Each moment is a great chance to grow. Good luck to you. Thank you.